Imagine holding the most powerful machine in the universe. It's not a supercomputer or a rocket engine, but something that can fit in your hands. This machine can control everything: your thoughts, experiments, emotions, dreams, and even your memories. It is the human brain. For centuries, this mysterious organ has fascinated and puzzled us. It has been the center of human research. And how did humans go from believing it was worthless to unlocking the most complex and fascinating mysteries of our human body? Join us as we embark on a breathtaking journey through history, charting humanity's quest to understanding our brain, one discovery at a time. Hey there, and welcome to Seeing Our Learning. Today, we're diving into one of the most incredible and mysterious fields in science: neuroscience. The human brain is like a galaxy contained in your skull, billions and billions of neurons firing in perfect harmony to control everything that you do. But this wasn't always how people thought about the brain. Once, it was considered completely useless, and people believed your thoughts and emotions came from your heart and and even like your gods. Over thousands of years, brilliant thinkers and groundbreaking discoveries changed that. So whether you're a neuroscience nerd or curious about what's going up in here, stick around. Before we dive in, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss one of our deep dives into history, science, and more. So, let's get started. First, let's answer the big question: what exactly is neuroscience? So, at its core, neuroscience is the study of the nervous system, which includes your brain, spinal cord, and an intricate system of 86 billion neurons working together and communicating through electrical and chemical messages, forming the foundation of everything we can think, feel, and do in our daily lives. But neuroscience isn't just about understanding how things work when we're going right. It's about also figuring out what happens when we're going wrong. It helps us to understand diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and epilepsy, and opens new doors into revolutionary techniques like brain-machine interferences and interfaces. In short, neuroscience is the science of you, the reader. You looking in there. So, how did we get here? So, let's go back, way back, to the very beginning. Our story begins in ancient Egypt around 4000 BC. Now, you might think early humans were curious about the brain, but in fact, they were not. In fact, during mummification, the Egyptians would preserve the heart, believing it was the seat of the soul, thought, and emotion. The brain, they scooped it out and threw it away. They were considering this as completely useless. Now, can you imagine the organ we know now that controls everything about us, treated like trash? But to be fair, they didn't have the tools that understand it yet. It wasn't until 500 BC in ancient Greece that someone finally questioned this idea. Enter Almat oh my bad, I'm gonna mispronounce this as well. Sorry, Alcmaeon of Croton, one of the first to suggest that the brain, not the heart, might be where we think and feel. This idea was revolutionary for its time. Imagine being the first person in history to look at the brain and wonder, could this be where all the magic happens? It was a small spark, but it was enough to ignite centuries of discovery and research and unraveling all these mysteries as we go along. Now, let's talk about Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, who lived around 400 BC. He not only agreed with Alcmaeon's idea, but took it even further. He argued that the brain wasn't just the center of intelligence, but it was also where the emotions and behaviors originated. This was a groundbreaking idea because at the time, most people believed mental illnesses like epilepsy were caused by angry gods or spirits. Hippocrates was one of the first to say, nope, it's the brain actually. Pretty bold, right? So, a few centuries later, the Roman physician Galen made a huge leap forward. By dissecting animal brains, he discovered that the brain controlled movement and that injuries to it caused serious impairments. Galen's work laid the foundation for many of the ideas that we still use today, like the concept that different parts of the brain serve as different functions. So we'll get into that. Now, the 1600s was a time of radical change. Philosophers and scientists began to challenge old ideas and look at the brain with fresh eyes. René Descartes, a French philosopher, imagined the brain as a hydraulic machine and pumping liquids and fluids to control the body. He also proposed the idea of dualism, suggesting that the mind and the body were separate but connected through the brain. While his ideas weren't, completely perfect, they inspired a wave of scientific inquiry that pushed neuroscience forward. But the real star of this era was definitely Thomas Willis, who is often called the father of neurology. He not only coined the term neurology, but he also created detailed maps of the brain's anatomy and linked brain injuries with specific mental impairments. For the first time in human history, science was connecting the brain structure to the human function. Now we zoom to the 1800s, where neuroscience truly took shape as a science. Camilo Golgi developed a staining method that allows scientists to see individual neurons under a microscope for the very first time. And I'm probably going to butcher this one as well. Santiago Ramon y Cajal, building on Golgi's work, mapped out specific brain neural networks and to study how neurons communicate with one another. Then there was, I'm going to butcher this again, Braga and Wernicke, who discovered that specific areas of the brain control specific functions, like speech and language comprehension. Their work proved that the brain was not only one big thinking machine, it is a complex organ that can do many things, and it is a very specialized part of our human body. Now, by the 20th century, neuroscience exploded with different discoveries. Just to highlight, Otto Loewi, my bad, I just butchered it again, figured out that neurons communicate using chemicals called neurotransmitters, and Hodgkin and Huxley, butchered this again, unraveled how electron signals travel down neurons, paving the way for medical neurology and modern neurology. And then there came neuroimaging. Technologies like CT scans and MRIs gave us the ability to look inside the brain for the very first time. This was a game changer for research and medicine, as now people can see exactly what's going on inside the brain through images. Exactly, like an X-ray. Now, today, neuroscience is advancing further and further away from its humble roots. From brain-computer interfaces to artificial intelligence decoding neural activity, we're on the brink of new discoveries that could change everything, from how we treat diseases to how we understand consciousness itself. So, our journey through the history of neuroscience shows how far we came and how much there is to learn. The brain, once a mystery and completely garbage, is now a frontier of endless possibilities and future research ideas. Thanks for joining and subscribe to our journey. If you enjoyed exploring the history of the brain, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who loves science as much as you do. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning. Adios, my friends.